Good morning. My name is Annabelle Frazer, and I'm the president of Girls Learn International and the editor-in-chief of The Wave.
Hi, I'm Lauren Riley. I'm a staff writer for The Wave.
My name is Chiscavage, and I'm a member of GLI.
And today we are here with Ms. Jane Watt. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hi, my name is Jane Watt. I'm actually the founder and the chairman of the board of Marco Island Academy, and I'm also the vice president and secretary of MIA Raise Squadron, which is a foundation that raises money for Marco Island Academy. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Very
So,
impressive.
what initially led to your involvement here at Marco Island Academy?
So I was actually a young mother with 3 little ones, and there was no high school on Marco Island.
Mm-hmm.
So the students used to have to travel to go to where they were going to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
So my initial involvement in this was I joined a small group that was thinking about putting a high school on Marco, and just went to a meeting to stuff envelopes. That's kind of how I got started.
Oh, wow.
So basically, as the chairman of the board, we establish all of the different rules and establish policy for the school.
Mm-hmm.
And the principal works directly under the board. So basically, the principal works for us, and then everybody else works for the principal.
Yeah.
And at the board level, I'm the one who's assigned to do Ms. Scott's annual reviews and then report that back to the board.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also in charge of all the fundraising for the school.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
very impressive.
Thanks. Yeah,
Yes.
we raised $20 million to
Oh,
build this
wow.
campus.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
and we also are currently in a $30 million endowment campaign so that we'll have enough money for the school for generations to come.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You must
For
be so
your
proud
kids'
of
kids.
yourself.
thank you. It's
Yes.
been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been
Very
a journey.
impressive.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, we started with nothing, so it was, yeah.
Literally. I know. So, what led to you stepping up and becoming a leader at this school and in this position?
Well, when I was at one of the meetings to stuff envelopes, there was a lot of fighting in the group. And it's kind of funny because a number of the leaders in it were male, and they were all fighting with each other. And I came home and spoke with my husband afterwards, and I'm like, this high school in Marco is never going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband's incredibly supportive, and he actually was like, actually, there is a way that there would be a high school in Marco, but you'd have to step up and take a major role. And I thought about it a lot and decided that it was really important to the community, and that it was something that we needed. And so I just started taking over the entire project. And eventually the other people that were part of it, that were kind of fighting, they fell off because they continued, arguing about stuff that wasn't really significant to what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really stayed focused on starting a school for kids. So,
Okay. So, how would you describe your leadership strategies dealing with that?
I was not very politically savvy when I started.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I thought everybody would be excited about a school. My mom's a teacher. I grew up believing in education. I just thought that it would be well supported. What I learned quickly was there were a lot of political things that I needed to learn, which was basically how to survive in the community and in the district. And so I think that I was a little too nice at the beginning almost, and got really pushed around and had a lot of people say a lot of really mean things about me that weren't true.
Yeah.
And I learned from those experiences and got a little tougher, and learned how to stand up for myself. So I think
Good.
that really helped. And so as I've moved forward, I'm definitely a stronger leader from the lessons that I've
Absolutely.
learned along the
Yeah.
way.
And do you find your leadership strategies differ any more than your male counterparts? Because I know you said they would fight a lot while you try to stay out of that kind of.
Yeah, I was always looking for solutions. I didn't need to be right. I just wanted the best way forward. So a lot of times it may not even be my idea, but I would see something that could genuinely work. And if it looked like the best idea for what we were trying to accomplish, then I would embrace it, even if it wasn't my own, where sometimes I think people can get caught up in just trying to be right.
Yeah.
I didn't care about being right. I cared about doing the right thing for kids.
Yeah. And that's a big thing, especially with, different positions and different leadership, because a lot of people unfortunately have the mindset that it's, people versus people, but it's oftentimes just people versus the problem, and not everyone can see that, you know. So that's extremely impressive. That's such a valuable asset.
I had a funny story that I wanted to share with you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is about the very beginning startup. I went to meet with the superintendent of schools, who at the time was a male, and I was so excited. I was almost like a little girl with like these big eyes, like this bright idea, like I'm going to start a school in Marco Island, and it's going to be great, and we're going to, do everything we can for kids.
Yeah.
And I walked in, and first of all, he made me sit there in this really cold room for about 30 minutes. When he showed up for the meeting late, he was extremely, just to the point that I still can't even believe a human treats another human like this, condescending, like I was the biggest moron that you've ever encountered. Yeah. And he was looking at me like I was just a mom, like what was I going to do? And so I met with him, and I told him about this great idea of what we wanted to try and what I was planning to accomplish. And he flat out told me to my face that he would personally see to it there was never a high school in Marco. Well, what he didn't know at the time about me is that when someone tells me that you can't do something, it really drives me to do something.
Yeah.
So, and in addition, during the conversation, he threw out, and by the way, I always like to have bright, energetic people on my team. He actually offered me a job during the meeting. And I was like, I'm sorry, you know what, Dr. Thomas, like, I appreciate, I probably shouldn't have said his name, but anyway, he's not there now. I said, I appreciate that, but I'm not trying to have a job where I'm making money. I'm trying to start a school for kids.
Yeah.
And so I would never work for you. I don't know if I said that, but my eyes did.
Good.
So,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh my God. That's
but it was awful. He was so condescending. Like I was less than a piece of dirt on his shoe. Less than that.
well, look at you now. Like oh my God.
Thank you. He eventually got fired, and I'm still here. And there is a high school on Marco, so
Yeah,
Look who won that battle.
Exactly.
So, Miss Watt, being both a woman and a parent, do you ever feel judgment for holding such a high position in your field?
It's funny because I think that when I was starting, I think that it was harder than it's for two reasons. One are my kids have gotten older. When I started, I had a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So they were really little. Now I've got, they're in college, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like in general, at the beginning, it was harder to get people to take me seriously.
Yeah.
And because a lot of times my husband travels and he actually gets paid. I'm an unpaid person that's, full-time volunteer. So I would have to take the kids with me to different things. So if I was speaking at city council or school board meeting, a lot of times my kids would be with me. And so I felt like people would look at that almost like they were looking down at it. And I never could understand that because I was like, I'm doing this for kids. These are my kids. I don't have anyone else to watch them, and they were being good.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is wrong? All these people that are supposed to, I don't know. So yes, I did feel like there was, it was almost like they were annoyed that I had kids with me, but I didn't have another choice. So I was just doing what I had to do.
But I feel like personally when I was applying to go to the school, part of the whole spiel about it is that Marco Island Academy is a family school. It's very family oriented and everyone's close knit together. I feel like that kind of brings up the vibe of the whole school.
100%. Like the culture is so important to me, and Miss Scott has completely embraced it. Like she's amazing. She's carried out what my vision was, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So how do you personally choose to combat what you talked about with that traditional stereotype of a father should be the one who goes out the breadwinner and then the mom just stays at home? How do you choose to combat that?
First of all, I'm really lucky because my husband's super supportive. He's always seen us as equals. He's never ever expected that from me, that role. I would not have been able to get married otherwise,
Yeah.
So he's very supportive of me and what I'm doing. which helps a lot. But in addition, I think that you just have to keep showing up every day and proving people wrong, you know? I mean, it's
Yeah.
sort of like keep doing what's right and keep doing it for the right reasons. And you have to quit worrying about what other people think. You just have to do what you know is right.
Exactly. Yes. Love that.
So, being a mother, how do you find it difficult to balance your career and your personal life at all?
It's crazy. I used to work like 70 hours plus a week.
Wow.
And I would do a lot of it, like I would try and get the kids to bed, and then because you're also trying to be a good mom,
Yeah.
you know, and it's really, really hard. Like I always would feel like I was failing at something, like never good enough at all of it, because it's really, really hard to juggle all of it and being a good wife. So I'm trying to, be a good wife, be a good mom, make sure we have food,
Yeah.
make sure the kids are all taken care of, make sure they're doing well in school. And in addition to that, run this entire project. So I think it was very, very challenging. I still get pulled in different directions at times, but I think that I've gotten better at juggling things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really a balancing act of just making sure you prioritize, and you have to be very efficient with your planning and your time.
Absolutely.
Like you can't waste time. You don't have the leisure of wasting time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you think we can better include women or mothers who in leadership roles like you have? Because I feel like you do a very well job of
Thank
balancing
you.
it.
I think what's huge about it is being flexible. Like there has to be more flexibility. If you want to see strong female leaders step up who have the ability,
Yeah.
you have to give them choices, and they have to have flexibility, because they can get the work done. It might not be during the same hours or the same weekdays or, whatever that may look like, but they can get it done. And oftentimes, I'm sorry, but we do it better. So I'm just saying, we just need to be given the flexibility to be able to do it in the time frame that we can.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And as long as you have a deadline, if you know it's next week, you can get it done by next week. It may just be, sometimes I would work from like 10 to 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what your, what your schedule's like.
How much
Yeah.
you want it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be driven.
It's waking up every day and knowing that you're going to do it. Like you just have to get up and be like, we're totally accomplishing this.
Yes.
People said we can't do it. We're going to do it.
Exactly.
Nobody's ever raised 20 million on Marco. We're going to do it.
Not anymore.
That's right. So, Ms. Watt, what do you personally believe are the benefits to having women in power?
I think it's good because it's really, I feel like females bring a different, almost dimension to leadership.
Absolutely.
Different perspective too.
It is. And I think it's really valuable to have both. Like, I think that if you only have one side of things, as I'd mentioned before, sometimes there can be egos involved. And rather than being able to compromise and communicate and look for the best solution, people get caught up on what they want. And so I think that there's a critical piece to having females in these positions so that they can help with the dynamic of moving the needle forward. So that's how I would describe that.
It's amazing. How would you inspire confidence in women like you to not give up?
I actually talk a lot to Miss Scott and a lot to my daughter, and I consider both of them like my daughters.
Yeah.
And my daughter is now she just graduated from University of Florida with a degree in, she has a degree in industrial systems engineering.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Impressive.
And she really had a hard time during college. The major is very, very difficult. Only 1 in 3, I think, actually graduate with the degree that start.
Oh my gosh.
And they're all smart. Like the ones that are starting, they're all smart. So
Yeah.
it's not a matter of that. So I think, and with Miss Scott, just all the different things that she's had to overcome while running the school and the obstacles that have been put in her path, I have really focused on perseverance. I think that the most important way to encourage young women to be successful in whatever they decide to do, and this really goes for anyone, but is to be willing to show up day after day, even when things don't go your way.
Yeah.
and willing to try again and put everything that you've got into it every single day. And perseverance for me is the single best indicator of who is going to be successful.
Absolutely. I agree.
And is there anything else you would like to add, just like in general, like?
I was
anything
trying
else
to
you
think
wanted
of
to talk
another
about?
funny story of the past. I did have one other really funny story that is just so random, but I'm going to share it anyway. So I was actually at the very beginning of before we even had a school location, we were going to rent Winterberry campus from a church right by Winterberry Park. And we only had 68 students enrolled and, and a really small staff. And I was in the negotiation, and I had my youngest son, Jacob, who's now a junior here, which is ironic. And he was in the meeting, and it was me with 3 of the church leaders talking about what the cost was going to be and negotiating the terms of the lease. We're sitting in the little circular area, and Jacob was sitting on my lap and kind of climbing up and down. And he had little race cars with him that he was playing with, because I'd always pack a bag of like toys for him to play with. So I'm sitting here having this very, just like I'm speaking with you, a very serious conversation. And all of a sudden I notice like all of the guys are like, and I'm kind of like, what is going on? Well, Jacob was running the race car over my shirt, and it got caught on the blouse and yanked it like over. So they were all looking at my bra. Yeah. And
Oh my god.
it had distracted everyone except for me, because I didn't even realize that it happened.
Yeah.
When you have kids crawling on you, you're like, whatever. And so I immediately had to like circle back, pull myself together, and maintain the, like, just acting like everything was completely normal. I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
That's not embarrassing. We're going to continue talking about the price and the terms of the lease. But it was, so like, I think as a parent, you just, like, as a mom, you have all these random things that just happen that you're like, I can't even believe this just happened. Like, I mean, when I walked out, I'm like, I cannot believe that this happened. But you just have things that you have to kind of, work through, that I think would be different for females than males.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I love the most about this school and this community that we've built, is that there is a lot of women leadership in this school and in this community, because you're the founder. We have Miss Scott, who's our principal, Miss Koch, Miss Ray. There's so many women here, and they're and even, all so inspiring.
And even in our community, we have
the police chief.
Miss Tracy is awesome. Setting the world on fire. She's great. So we're very fortunate to have a lot of really strong, bright female leaders that are wonderful role models for everybody growing up. So I just appreciate that you guys considered me to be part of it too.
Oh, no, of course. And thank you so much for coming and agreeing to do this. You're kickstarting us. So
thanks.
We're excited to make this a series.
My honor.
I know, and we would love to have you as a guest too on another podcast.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of other really funny stories.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for listening. We are the Women of GLI, and we'll be back with you soon.